Any other year, this gorgeous racetrack in Brazelton, Georgia, Road Atlanta would, of course, be a flurry of activity with competition events, track days, and racing schools taking to this 2.54-mile undulating circuit. But of course, with the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic and the national stay-at-home shutdown, the tracks around this country, including Road Atlanta, of course, are now quiet. That said, some of the restrictions in the state of Georgia actually beginning to lift, and the drivers will eventually be back to a track like Road Atlanta or, as well, Atlanta Motorsports Park. And the reason why we're here with this particular program is because the members of Atlanta Motorsports Park needed to do some racing. They had to feed their need for speed. They did it here on the iRacing platform with a program brought to you by Discovery Parts and OMP. And we are getting set to go now with round number 3. Of course, as I said, this event actually taking place very close to where they are, actually in Dawsonville, Georgia, at Atlanta Motorsports Park, just outside of that area. We're in Brazelton at the legendary Road Atlanta for what is, again, round number 3 of this fantastic program. 19 drivers set to go, potentially 20 set to take the grid. Welcome, folks, to Apex Racing TV. My name is Rob Howden, joined in the commentary booth today by Marco Barbanera as we get set to go racing for the 3rd time in the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries. Marco, looking forward to a good race tonight. The last couple of races at Daytona and Sebring dominated by Dion Fiello. We'll see if the other drivers can step things up, potentially battling here at a tough racetrack.
Absolutely. Well, hello to you, Rob, and hello to everyone. I love this racetrack. It's one of my favorite racetracks in the world, and so challenging, so unique in the fact that the first half and the second half are like two completely different racetracks. First part very, very technical, then you can breathe a little after the couple of right-handers that you have, and the long backstretch, then that final chicane, but that final turn there really brings you back, into full focus, because it's so easy to get it wrong, and such a fantastic corner which can quite easily ruin either the end of your lap, the beginning of your next lap, or quite possibly your race. You can see now the drivers are getting ready to start their pace lap, and as we wait for them, on your screen we should have the qualifying results, and there they are.
Yes, indeed. A 15-minute qualifying session, fast lap, not surprising by your point leader, Dion Fiello, in the number 117, a 126.608. Of course, all the drivers in the Porsche Cayman 918. Brant Estes qualifies second. He'll start on the outside of that front row in number 8. Thornton Muir alongside Zach Holden on row number 2, while Ryan Harper and Ryan Flannery, those two drivers have been battling it out together throughout the first 2 rounds of this program. They'll start alongside each other on row number 3. Inside of row 4 will be Michael Day, while Fred Hazelton will occupy the outside grid slot P8. Capping off your top 10, Patrick Wilmot alongside Marshall Aiken. Row 6 will have Philip Creighton on the inside and Joseph Blankenship on the outside. On row 7, on the inside, Wesley Slimp. On the outside, Jamil Gummer. Row 8, Michael Green alongside Michael Lane, and capping off the field of 18 drivers, Joshua Van Velde and Trey Cook. Again, big thank you to Discovery Parts and OMP for being sponsors of the program. And I'll tell you, you said a mouthful there, Marco. This track is unbelievably tough. The opening corners, of course, very aggressive. They're underway now, I believe. Are we going? Did we go green right there?
Yeah,
what's that?
I was expecting a rolling start, but no, we are having a standing start. Here we go.
We did not get the updates on that, folks. And yeah, indeed, it's a standing start. One driver spinning from P4. Again, such a tough part of this racetrack for the first time. Turn 2, 3, and 4. It's that snaking uphill, then back down. When you crest the hill there, it's very blind. You can see them snaking back down here through turn number 3, 4, 5. They call it the S's. Through turn number 5, it's a very quick left-hander. And then Marco all the way down into 6 and 7. Tough part of this racetrack, but crucial to get back on the power early, so it's a long straightaway after this.
Absolutely, you need to be very, very nice and easy through these corners, get the perfect exit, then all the way down through your gears as you try to get the slipstream of the car in front of you. As I said many times, this car really effective on the slipstream, so you can, if you stay close, you can really gain a big advantage. And again, that chicane that's coming up, deceptively tough. You brake going downhill, as you can see here, and then you go up the hill once again. Then this final corner, I mean, one of my favorite corners in all of the world, as you can see. You have no idea where you're going. You need to trust yourself, trust the car, pedal down, slight lift, and that's the first lap in the books.
Yeah, it is one of the most iconic corners, I think, in North American motorsports as well, because you have to think about it too. It's right now there's 10A and 10B, so there's a left-right chicane that you have to go through, slows the car up quite a bit. Not saying quite a few years ago, it used to be a straight run, essentially just a sweeper up over top of that hill, then back down before they had 10A and 10B. An unbelievably tough corner, but still very, very difficult and challenging, as Marco said, because you want to carry so much speed through there, just a little bit of a lift. It's blind. You can't see the other side. And of course, when you come back down, car's already offset a little bit, and you got to get back down through turn number 12. A really, really tough corner. I like the battle we're seeing right now up front. Dion Fiello, of course, out into the lead as we would have expected. But Brant Estes, as Marco had mentioned, these cars very good in the draft and the slipstream. And Marco, I think that Brant's going to do everything he possibly can just to stay close enough through 6 and 7. So that big long run down to turn 10, he's going to be able to get that draft.
And they have Tortomur in to keep them company. Of course, he had a very tough race, which began with himself spinning in the pace lap and collecting Dion Fiallo at the very start of the race, whilst Dion went on to win the race in exciting fashion, putting on a very, very calm and controlled race despite having second place car basically glued to his rear end up until the final 2 laps, where he set the 2 fastest laps of the race to pull away. Thornton had unfortunately for him, a collection of mistakes and crashes, and some were his fault, some were not. So he really needs to, redeem himself, and he's looking good right now, 3rd place, and keeping up with these 2 drivers at the front.
Coming into this race early on, into a 45-minute event, Dion Fiello with the point lead. 50 markers, of course, 2 wins for him. Brant Estes, average finish of 3rd, 33 points, so 17 points back now. And again, Fiello with an opportunity to win another one here and really start padding that lead. Ryan Flannery, who runs P5 right now, 5th, is in 3rd in points, just 1 point ahead of both Fred Hazelton and Zach Holden. Holden now running a bet down in 11th, Hazelton 7th, so Flannery looking to try to take control of 3rd as we watch this battle for 10th on the racetrack. Van Velde in the numbers Van Velde, the 796. Let's have a replay potentially of the start coming up the hill. Is this our spin? Indeed it is. Holden in the 09. Up and over the curb. Ooh, potential contact there with Muir, I think. Marco, would you agree?
I think so. I think they both went for the same piece of real estate at the same time. Let's see from the chopper as they went for the right-hander there at the chicane. Let's see. Very slight contact, possibly even a bit of netcode contact. I think they were going to touch regardless, but unfortunately for Zach that is not ideal for him, as he dropped all the way down to the back end of the top 10, and now having to make a comeback, as you can see here. Fantastic fight for 4th place. Flannery, Wilmot, Harper, Hazelton, Crane, they are all very, 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 very close together, and Flannery leading the... Oh, he's almost spinning. Can he save it? Yes, he can, but he loses a position. But I'd say better to lose 1 position, because usually when you lose the car in that corner, Rob, it's much more painful than that.
I thought it was over. he had the thing crossed up there. You carry so much speed down through the S's to try to get through that corner. And again, just like turn number 7 here, it's important to get on the throttle and be able to get the speed coming out of that corner. That's one of the longer straightaways on the racetrack. There's the front straightaway, there's 5 to 6, then 7 all the way to 10. So a pretty major save there. Was that, who actually was that made that spin? Was that Harper? Or? I tried to pick up the number of, that might have been Flannery.
It was the Pepsi-colored car, so I think Flannery, who's now under attack from Harper.
Regardless, whatever it was, that was a fantastic save. Car got all crossed up. Luckily for him, as you know, in that particular corner, turn 5, there's a lot of runoff on the other side there. But you have to watch out and keep it out of the tires. We'll get another look at this. Indeed, Flannery coming down through the S's here. Again, this is that, we don't really have a number for it because it's kind of straight. Oh, actually on entry, Marco. up into into the gravel as well. Congratulations to him on a tremendous save. Didn't overcorrect on the car, steered into it just enough, but that actually was right on entry, as potentially getting on the brakes a little bit. The car just rotated on him.
As another driver that makes a little bit of a mistake there is Brad Estes, and Toto Muir gets past him with ease and up into second place, and is of course helping a bit Dion Fiallo there at the front with this little bit of a battle between second and third place. So he will try to pull away. Last lap 27.31 for Fiallo. That's the fastest lap of the race so far. 27.48 for Muir, 27.49 for Estes. So they really need to step up and try to stay as close as possible to the leader. Otherwise, we know that Dion is very, very capable to just check out whenever he wants. In Sebring, he kept it very, very late. But for example, in Daytona, despite being a very prominent draft track, he was able to pull away on his own, despite having a couple of guys chasing him all the way around. So when he flicks that switch on, Dion is absolutely tough to beat.
Yeah, he's getting the job done here as well. As you said, just starting to inch away a little bit. It was about a half a second, the gap, when they came across start-finish line for the entire top three. Now, Philo's actually been able to pull out almost a full second now, over 0.8 of a second, the lead, as he now works his way down through the S's. So Philo as your leader. Thornton Muir now up into the second spot. Brant Estes runs in third, a little further back. In fact, significantly back. In 10th spot is Patrick Wilmot. Then we got a really good battle. There's three drivers running together. Ryan Flannery, Ryan Harper, and Fred Hazelton all running together. Marco picking up that battle as they work their way to turn number 5, down into 6 and 7. You know, interesting, Marco. Obviously, a lot going on here in North America. So much of the world shut down, stay-at-home orders from all the governments. In the U.S., of course, with all the different states, the state governor actually has an opportunity to make some decisions based on the state itself. And Georgia, one of the states actually that's beginning to open things up. And there's a good possibility that the track at Atlanta Motorsports Park, both the road course circuit and the karting circuit there, of course, both of those tracks designed by noted Formula One architect Herman Tilke. There's a good chance that they will be opened up, whether it's for practice, track days, some testing at this point. I'm not sure whether or not they'll be having organized racing events yet, but we are hearing word that Georgia, of course, one of the tracks opening up, or one of the states opening up. So these guys are obviously out here on the iRacing platform, Marco, because they want to do some racing, feed that need for speed, but they're actually going to get a chance to get back behind the wheel of their own cars pretty soon, which is obviously big for everybody in motorsports.
I think we are really, even the people that are not really into sports, any kind of sports, I think during this tough period are finally, I think, understanding how important sports are in our society, because if you think about now, every time you turn on the news, it's either bad news or a lot of pointless arguing by talking heads about what's going on. And I would really, really love to have a bit of distraction, if done, of course, safely, because we've been basically hearing about bad news non-stop on TV for 2 months, and that's the only thing that's on TV basically, or on the media or wherever, on the internet. So if done safely, I'm really hoping in my heart that we can go back to racing as soon as possible, because we all need it, for our sake.
Yeah, indeed. And I think that obviously I'll agree with you for sure, first and foremost, but obviously the iRacing platform has given a lot of people an opportunity to get a little taste of motorsports. Yeah, we're not watching live events, but we're seeing a lot of the top drivers from around the world getting a chance to run in these iRacing programs, whether it's F1 drivers, sports car, IndyCar, as well over here. A lot of the drivers in the dirt world, the oval world, also getting a chance to do a lot of iRacing. And people are loving it. The numbers, over 1 million, I think 1.2 million people, I believe, watched the last NASCAR race, the iRacing program, which I thought was massive. Over 200,000 watching the IndyCar event recently as well. So it's great to see that people are still getting the opportunity, but I think we all know that the minute we're able to get back out there and do it safely, as you said, as long as it's done safely, I think people are going to take a big sigh of relief, whether it's car races, with no attendance, just on TV, or they're able to get other, stick and ball sports going again with no fans, whatever it may be. As you said, Marco, the distraction, I think, is what people are looking for. Maybe a feel-good story, because we are getting inundated with bad news, negative news, and political news from start to finish of each day. We are 11 minutes into a 45-minute race. This is the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries, again brought to you by Discovery Parts and OMP. Discovery Parts Inc. is the leading supplier of racing safety equipment, and they pride themselves on providing the best customer service in the business. Discovery Parts is located in Dawsonville, Georgia, and has a pro shop at Atlanta Motorsports Park. So again, Apex Racing TV bringing you this action. My name's Rob Howden, joined by Marco Barbanera, as we are, as I said, coming up on the 12-minute mark. Still not a third of the way into this, and it's still only a half a second gap for Fiello over Muir. Marco, is Muir putting down some good laps to close back in. He was actually 0.3 quicker than the leader last time by.
Yeah, Dion went for a little bit of rallycross with the left side of his car coming out of the final corner. I think we just got the back end of it. We were watching from the blimp. You will see it right now. Maybe from the chopper we can get a better view of it. He went a bit wide. That's very risky to do. The car is turning, so you still are in a bit of a uncertain state with your grip. And he was good. He was able to keep it straight, but yeah, lost a lot of time with that small mistake. Muir is keeping close taps to him. Estes is 1.8 seconds back, but is crucially decently close to Muir to benefit from his draft. But I think that Muir will possibly starting to think about a move maybe against the race leader, even though you can see now half a second away. The gap will go down, but he needs to be a bit closer if he wants to be in range to make a move.
Indeed, obviously this particular corner, turn number 10A, which is the left-hander of the left-right combination before you set up to crest the hill under the Suzuki Bridge to come over turn number 11. You can see how much quicker Fiello is through that particular part of the racetrack. He gained at least 3 seconds, 0.3 of a second right there. It was a half a second, as Marco had said, 0.3 of a second. In all honesty, he was 0.3 of a second slower that last lap, and it all came there. Driver off the racetrack coming out of turn number 7. That's that leading onto the back straightaway. Let's have another look at this. The driver coming through turn 7, Trey Cook in the number 23. Double right-hander lead onto the straightaway. Good exit so far. Oh, just gets some trouble. Tried to slow the car up. He was driving off track a bit and dropped the left side tires off the outside of the rumbles, Marco, and then kind of had it slowed up. But once he got back on the throttle, it just quickly spun around on him.
Yes, that sometimes can happen, especially now with the new latest racing update. The grass getting a bit more unsafe as a racing surface. Really punishes you for going off the track, and sometimes it can be a bit like ice. As by the way, let's take a very, very quick look at the current weather situation on the racetrack. As you can see, 120 degrees on the racetrack. It's a bit hot, as I think.
Yeah, it was super comfortable otherwise. 66 degrees ambient temperature, which is pretty nice. Only 28% humidity, which is pretty good for Georgia, that's for sure. But as you said, partly cloudy, 120-degree track temperature. And that's hot, but it's still decent. It's not like we're up in the 130s, which can really make the tires super greasy. The driver's doing a good job. A little bit of wind as well, which makes things nice. Only a couple mile an hour, but all in all, 66-degree day. Pretty nice for Brazelton, Georgia. Dion Fiello, almost a full second to lead right now. Looking further back for some battles as well. Ryan Harper, the number 97, trying to close up here on Fred Hazelton. He was quicker by 0.3 of a second back. That's definitely a good battle to watch here, Marco. The number 97, you can see as he's trying to reel in Hazelton here. And again, those drivers at the top part of the racetrack. Another good shot here from the outside as they come down through the S's. Here's a good look at the comparison between 6th place running Hazelton and 17th place running Harper. A couple of laps earlier, 6, 7, and 8, Hazelton was able to stretch a gap, but Harper's been able to dial things back in. And Marco, what do you think? Half a second, probably close enough to start feeling that draft?
Yes, half a second to 1 second, I think, is the sweet spot where you can really start to feel that draft and close in. So that's more or less, I mean, that is how 1 second is where you want to be to begin with. But if you want to go and make the move here after the backstretch, you really need to come out of that right-hander at half a second back. Not more, because it's the driver, the leading driver is a bit helped by the fact that the final part of the straight is going down the hill, so they can acquire a bit more speed. So you need to be very, very close, as you can see here. Another fight between Michael Day and Joshua Fanfeld.
Textbook Road Atlanta
No,
pass here
sorry.
down the inside of turn number 10.
They were Reina and Day. Apologies. And move on the outside there by Day. Very nicely done to get the position on Jaden Reina.
And really clean. That's what I liked about that, because of course when you make a move to the inside like Day did coming down into turn 10, all you really have to do is drive a little bit wider on the exit. You're going to pinch off the car on the outside. Instead, Day gave room to Reina on the right side of the car and then was able to get the run out through turn 10B back up the hill and had that spot. So that was a really nice racecraft and sportsmanship as well. Let's have another look at that here. Here's a good shot of it coming from the copter cam down the hill. Again, downhill braking, so it's a longer braking run. Over top of the curb, pinching down to the inside, gets a better run out of the corner, up over the rumbles on the outside of the track. That's just a really nice pass, Marco. Good pickup there.
Beautiful, beautiful overtake. I think the best we've seen today. Very nicely done. So tough to get it done around the outside there. But Michael Day made it work beautifully, as still in front of them Hazelton and Harper, half a second away, a bit more than that as they head into the chicane, as 26.9 for the race leader, 26.8 for both Muir and Estes, so they are trying to close the gap, but still not enough, as you can see, even though Muir is still in the draft of the race leader. They are more or less equally spaced out between among the three of them, as you can see, as they are more or less 0.8 of a second away from each other, all three of them, as they are now in a line. We have seen, of course, tire management being so important in Sebring. The track was very hot and of course a very bumpy track there. We all thought that the tires would start to degrade towards the end of the 45 minutes, and probably they did, but not for Dion Fiallo. He basically, as we were saying, did the 2 fastest lap of the race at the very end of the race, so he really was able to save those tires and keep them for the time he needed them the most, and well, that he did, because those 2 laps were absolutely astonishing, and he was able in the end to bring home a comfortable win, something that you wouldn't have necessarily said with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, he handled that particular race beautifully. That was just race-long strategy to, like you said, take care of the rubber, make sure he had a car that he needed at the end. Almost giving some false hope, if you will, to the drivers who were behind him, because they had stuck with him after he flat dominated at Daytona, our first round of this Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries. Of course, they come to Sebring and just hope that they were able to run with Dion, and they did. They were right there with him, but again, as you said, he kept a little bit in reserve, and those last couple of laps kind of caught you and I off guard. We wondered what the battle was going to be like, and all of a sudden he went purple on both laps, fast laps of the race. His last lap the best, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that again here as well. He just did a 127.41. 126.7 is his best, so 127.1, about a half a second off his best. Both Muir and Estes again quicker. 126.9 for Muir, 126.8 for Estes. So they've not let him pull away, but you can be guaranteed, Marco, that Fiallo will just pull another one out when he needs to. Although he does have some lap traffic coming. Some of the slower cars going to have to deal with the leader here momentarily.
Yeah, Michael Lane in that KFC car is in front of him. He will catch him in a bit. I'm sure Dion is already thinking about where to. It's an interesting proposition around this track, and of course, something that really comes into play a lot during Petit Le Mans later in the year, because it is safe to say that, especially with the bigger cars like GT cars, even the GT4s, for the first half of the lap, overtaking even a lapped car is very tough around this place. You need absolute cooperation and collaboration with the other car, and that's usually not an easy thing to do. This first portion of the track, you can forget about making an overtake. As a lap car moves safely,
yeah, drivers off. That was the lap car. That kind of caught us off guard a little bit. That was Lane, who was trying to get out of the way. That's not normally what you teach people, Marco.
Yeah.
Correct? Is it? You know what? You just run your race. We'll get around you, and that's a tough part of the track, as you said. Continue.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think he went for the safe move, but you know, safe, quote unquote safe, because that's
Yeah,
a very,
exactly.
very easy place to crash. And I think when you do something like that, even though it's done in with a good mind, a good spirit. Sometimes you end up maybe causing a bit more trouble to the leader because they are not expecting it, and you can see they have all compressed. I think everyone lifted when they saw that car move to the left side of the track. Someone lifted a bit less than the others because now they are very very close, especially Muir and Estes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it probably caught Fialo off guard. You know, he was obviously setting up, knowing exactly where he was, coming down through the S's. He knew he'd get a good run through turn 5. It would be probably a move to the inside of turn 6, or potentially getting him on the exit of 7. He had planned ahead of what was going to happen because he needed to plan 2, 3, 4 corners ahead. When Lane decided to pull off to the right side there, of course, wow, okay, all of a sudden everything changes. But here's an onboard look here right now with Estes, and Marco, you talked about it. It is so hard, if not impossible, to pass from turn 1 all the way down to turn number 6. 6, of course, is the hard-braking right-hander. Yeah, you can go down on the inside of somebody there, or even coming down here if you're a faster car. But at a Petit Le Mans event where you have the different categories, the different series, the different classes within that race, that's the issue, because you just can't. If you're coming down the S's, especially when it's dark, you've just got to stay where you are and kind of wait, get the run out of 5 to make the run down to 6. Much easier to pass someone down into turn number 10, even cresting the hill of 11 down to 12. You can make that move. But you said it straight. The guys that are being lapped have to just hold their line and let the other drivers, the overtaking drivers, do the work.
Speaking of night, of course, we are racing in the daylight today, but it's one of those tracks where you don't really have a lot of trackside illumination, which I kind of like. But of course, yes, makes the job. You are one of the slower cars, and you can see, in the past. When I say past, I say like up until I think 2-3 years ago, they had that separation. The prototypes had the white headlights and the GTs had yellow headlights. Now this has been scrapped by the powers that be. So, at the very least, you had sort of an idea about who was coming behind you when you were getting lapped in the night, but not anymore. So I can imagine being a GTD driver going through this section, and then all of a sudden you see massive headlights closing speed on you with a DPI car. That must be absolutely scary, and speaks to the professionalism of all the drivers, even those that are not professionals racing in the Petit Le Mans. About how few incidents we get, even when it gets dark during these kind of situations. As we have a slow car, is Jaden Reina. Let's see what happened to him.
Issue for Reina coming down the hill out of turn number 11. This is 11. This is the crest of the hill. Like I said, if you don't have the car exactly planted correctly, just way outside the line there. I'm not sure whether or not they dropped the left side tires into the grass, but good save in terms of being able to hold the car on the track, keeping that brake locked, and then releasing once they got down to the bottom of the hill. So pretty solid run there. Good save for Reina. Here's Tyler Hoffman right now in the number 9 machine. Tyler currently running. Where is Tyler right now? In the 11th position, just outside the top 10. Good battle right now, though, as well, Marco. We're close potentially on Ryan Flannery and Fred Hazelton closing up a bit here on Patrick Wilmot, watching their lap times last time by about a half a second quicker. So Flannery now in that number 5, trying to close in on the 69 of Wilmot, and Hazelton right there as well. Both these drivers working together. Again, Hazelton going to get advantage of that draft as they work their way through the quicker parts of this track. We may find ourselves with a battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th before this is all over.
Yes, as we hit the 25-minute mark, the first half of the race has really gone by in a hurry. By the way, last time around while we were watching replays of that spin, Dion Fiallo 26.63, fastest lap of the race, Torto Muir 26.65. So, he's answering to punch for punch so far. That's a very, very good lap to have to answer to the fastest lap of the race by the race leader. 27.3 for Bratessa, so he is dropping back a bit, as you can see, still holding that 1.8, 1.9 second gap between himself and the leader, but Muir really trying to do everything he can to stay as close as possible. And now I think this fight is officially a three-way fight, because Wilmot didn't have his best lap, especially in the opening portion, and Flannery and Hazelton have really closed in, and now they will look to close the gap even more as we head for another lap. It will be lap number 19, which has just started for the leaders, and now we'll start for Wilmot, Flannery and Hazelton, as Flannery goes a bit wide, nothing major there. You can see some of the tire tracks into the grass, basically as a testimony of the mistakes that these drivers have been making. Most of them have survived any kind of issue there. We have still 16 cars racing, and if you look at the track map very quickly, switch to the leader, you see in the top right, looks like a big stretch of clean track for the leaders. They just got past Joseph Blankenship, as you can see right here, so now they have a bit of time for themselves and they can duke it out without thinking about the traffic.
Well past the halfway point as well. Now 27 and a half minutes into this 45-minute race here at Road Atlanta, Brazelton, Georgia. Watching this battle again between Wilmot, Patrick Wilmot in the 69, Ryan Flannery in the number 5. An issue there, just a couple lap back for Fred Hazelton. Did not get through turn 1 well at all. Not able to get down to the apex, and he lost a lot of ground. Fell back by almost a full second from Wilmot. You can see this fight now as Flannery in that number 5 continues to put the pressure on the 69 of Patrick Wilmot. Wilmot pretty good coming up over turn number 11. They'll roll back down the hill. Very quick part of this racetrack. Intimidating as well with the concrete wall right there as you come out of turn number 12. But it's a crucial part of this racetrack. You've got to carry the speed through there to be able to get back up here through turn number 1, climb the hill once again. And this fight that we've watched for the last number of laps continuing, about a half a second back now for Ryan Flannery. Also, I think we got to watch, and we will a little bit later. Here's a battle for the lead right now. Thornton Muir has closed right up on Dion Fiello. Right on and coming out of turn number 7. Big run down the straightaway again. Pretty good exit speed for Fiello. He's going to give himself a little bit of a gap, but it's only 0.3 of a second. So a big toe down this long straightaway heading to turn number 10A. Do we see a pass for the lead finally from Thornton Muir? Is he close enough to try the brakes? Fiello staying on the racing line. Muir does not attempt to pass to the inside. I don't know, Marco. I got to think that if I got this close with about 16 minutes remaining, I think I probably would have tried to see if I couldn't get into P1 and move Fiello back to second.
Thornton has not been shy about taking some risks, in the first couple of rounds of the season. So yes, especially considering how tough it has been for people to actually pass Dion during this series, I thought he might have taken a chance, and that was basically the close that he's ever come to the leader. Let's see if now he can repeat the same kind of magic, as he looks to have a better exit. But look at that now, Dion is really nailing this lap, and all of a sudden that gap, 0.8 of a second, now 0.9 of a second almost, as they head into the double right-hander, and yeah, not nearly close enough this time around for Thornton to try and get it moved on. So we can jump back to the fight for 4th, 5th and 6th, and Wilmot is still relatively safe, because actually it is Flannery and Hazelton who are closer to each other, so if there is an overtake in this fight, I think it might come from these two guys here, and this of course will help the 69 of Wilmot in front, so that he can slightly pull away. But as you can see, things change so quickly in just a matter of corners. Now the gap is dropping once again between 4th and 5th, so this is something that I think will be solved come the end of the race, not sooner, because a slight mistake, a small mistake, and you can find yourself back in the thick of the fight.
Solid recovery for Fred Hazelton, who had that issue in turn number 1 a couple laps ago. Did not get down to the apex at all and had to get out of it big time. Probably even get on the brakes enough not to go off the track at the exit of 1. Right now, he is trying to close back up here, as we said, on Flannery and Wilmot. Again, to echo my statements I had said earlier, I just thought Thornton Muir, you're that close to Dion Fiello, knowing how he dominated Daytona, how he essentially kind of played with everybody for the last couple of laps at Sebring last week. I think I would have been hard pressed not to make a move to at least try to get by to take over that lead for a time. Because as you said, Marco, he was then able to pull away by over a half a second, and now it's almost 0.8 of a second, the gap between first and second. Keying still on this great battle low for 4th position because Patrick Wilmot has not flinched as of yet, has been turning really good lap times. For Wilmot, his best lap, a 127.82. He's about a half a second off that now. 128.31 was his last lap, a quick one there. Not quite as fast, though, as Flannery, who is obviously closing back up. You can see a good lap here for Flannery. He's winning about 6 or 7 car lengths as they work their way down that back straightaway. And again, that about a half a second. And as Marco illustrated earlier, that anything within a half a second to a second, you're going to get a feel for that draft, that slipstream. And again, a long run out of turn 7 through what is really a non-existent 8 and 9, kind of a kink in the road. Big move down on the brakes on that Pepsi liveried machine as Marco Flannery giving a look at Wilmot, at least pushing him enough to try to see if he can't maybe get him to make a mistake somewhere.
Yeah, he came really, really close, very deep on the brakes there, and the gap between these three keeps on ebbing and flowing with each, every few corners, I'd say. You never know what's going to happen next between Wilmot, Flannery and Hazelton as we are heading into the 33rd minute of this race, lap 23 starting right now. Of course, these cars lapping very quickly. It's a 126 lap, 127 lap around this place, so they can really hold their own, these GT4 cars. Of course, they race on this racetrack in the Michelin Pilot Challenge in real life, of course, supporting the main IMSA series during the year.
Saw a little bit of an issue there for Flannery coming through turn number 5. Got it crossed up a little bit, scrubbed off some speed. Another good scrap here going, Marco, for 8th and 9th. That is Crane, Philip Crane and Zach Holden. They're very, very close together here, working their way down the back straightaway, and actually not that far behind the fight between Wilmot, Flannery, and Hazelton. Really, then Harper 2 seconds back, and then really Crane about 3 seconds back as well. So you can see just up the road is Ryan Harper. But this is a good fight right now. In fact, we may potentially have a pass here as Holden inside, outside on Crane. Little touch there coming down the hill. Side by side through turn number 12. Hold your breath. Down to the inside. And a good run on the outside. Better run there, of course, not having to get off the throttle to make the corner. That was fun to watch there. Although Holden back to the inside in turn number 1. This is good one-on-one racing, Marco. Again, battling it out here right now for 8th in the running order.
Fantastic stuff, and Holden seems like he has the position in his pocket finally. That was absolutely fantastic. Great stuff, as we need to jump back to the podium fight, because look at that, it has happened again. 2.8 seconds the gap all of a sudden between first and second. Dion Fiallo has once again checked out from his opponents the moment he decided it was moment to do it, and he is now well clear, and Muir and Estes now are fighting against each other. By the way, let's give you very quickly who's the biggest mover of the race. It is Tyler Hoffman. He's sitting in 11th place. He gained 9 spots from his starting position. Everyone has either moved up or down all race long, apart from this guy. Started on pole and still very safely in the lead of the race. But this fight for second and third promises to be very, very tasty.
Yeah, I like the fact that these guys are still going at it again, but this is kind of a carbon copy of what we saw at Daytona, where sooner or later, sometime during the race, Fialo decided to drop the hammer and pull away. As we said, Thornton Muir and Brant Estes staying right there. They got to within a half a second, didn't pull the trigger at all. As I said, should have tried it. Probably only going to get one shot at it. And now Fialo, with no draft helping Thornton Muir, is long gone. 3.6 seconds. It was a half a second, Marco. What, 2-3 laps ago? That was it. Now it's 3.6 seconds. Fialo's down the road handling it. Finally, we got to move. Here comes Estes. He'll go to the inside, coming down into turn number 10. Side by side. Who's going to go deeper on the brakes? Estes to the inside. Out of the corner, side by side. Over, under. Not enough for Brant Estes. Thornton Muir able to hold him off. But Marco, I like the fact that he tried it. Put that Cayman down to the bottom of the track, inside of turn 10. Couldn't quite pull the trigger, but I think that's a little precursor of what we're going to see over the next 8.5 minutes. Almost done this 45-minute race.
Yeah, Muir then put 2 wheels on the grass coming out to the final corner. This gave Estes a much better exit, and now he's once again glued to that rear bumper of that Cayman GT4 car. I'll jump actually on board with our number 8 competitor, and let's bring up the dashboard and see what we see from his vantage point as he goes up on that massive curve. 4th gear, 5th gear in a second, as they get ready to brake for the double right-hander. And again, he is very, very close, perfectly in the striking range. Much better line to this corner, and another chance, I think, coming up in a matter of seconds for Estes to make the move.
I love this in-car camera, Marco, especially when they're pounding the curbs coming down through the S's, really aggressively attacking it. Again, look at this, actually pushing him down the back straightaway. Estes thinking about going to the inside again. You got to get by that kink turn number 9. Not close enough to make a pass. He was right there. But again, Marco, you know this. You've done enough laps around many, many circuits on the iRacing surface. It's the same in the outdoor racing as well. When you get a run like that down a long straightaway like the one here at Road Atlanta from 7 down to turn number 10, if you let yourself get behind the guy and start pushing him, you're losing that momentum. A pass like that has to flow from the exit of the corner into the braking zone. You make the draft, you get close, you tuck, you make the move to the inside, you don't give it up. I don't think Estes was trying for the pass at all there. More just seeing if he couldn't potentially push Muir into an outbraking issue where he's not able to get the car wound up and turned in turn 10.
Yes, I agree with you, especially considering that he might be thinking about the fact that if he makes the pass now, then his opponent will have 6-7 minutes to do the same, and we know these two are very equal on pace. So it is not out of the realm of possibilities if we see a pass and then the two guys stay very, very close to each other until the end. And so of course this will give another chance to the driver that's behind, as once again here we go, same situation, 0.2 of a second the gap as they go down the hill. Once again, in front of them, the leader is 5 seconds away. Then there's a bit of some lap traffic. Here we go, another chance. Maybe this time he will go for it.
This time down to the inside, much more aggressive. To the inside comes Estes. Book it. He's through. And that's what I'm talking about. He did not stay behind the minute he got the draft. Pulled to the inside of the racetrack. The driver's left. Down onto the braking zone. Let the car drift at the exit. If you own the apex, you own the exit. And that's what it was right there for Brant Estes. He's gone to P2. Now, Marco, plays right to what you said. Too little or too early? What do you think? Too little, too late? I don't know. Let's see if Muir's able to fight him back, because that will be the storyline if Thornton Muir's able to take a spot back here.
Muir surely is thinking about the chance that he had to maybe attack Fialo earlier in the race and didn't do it. So I think this time he has a chance to attack Estes. He will do it. He seems to be decently close already in this first lap that he's been pushed back to 3rd. So let's see if he goes for a move straight away. He needs to have better line than what he had lately when he was in the lead of this duo through this corner here. Looks like he is in a good position. 0.4 of a second coming out of the corner, and now trying to get all of the draft. You will see as soon as the speed starts to pick up. See Estes moving a bit to the left, a bit to the right, trying to get rid of that. Look at the traffic they have in front of them.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, deep into the braking zone goes Muir. He had a little bit of a moment coming out of turn number 7 to set up that run down the back straightaway. Had to overcorrect a bit to get the car where he wanted to be on the actual rumbles. How about a look now? This is the back to the leader, I believe. Fiello working his way through here. So Dion Fiello leading now by 6.3 seconds. What a dominant run from Fiello, trying to win his 3rd straight race here in this Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries. Again, brought to you by Discovery Parts at OMP. Tyler Hoffman now in the number 9. Let's have a look at potential issue for Tyler Hoffman, running now in the 12th position, following down the order a bit. Little bit too much on the exit of that corner, trying to bring it back onto the racetrack, right in front of a bunch of drivers right behind him as well. That's a moment that you don't want to see, Marco, when someone in front of you having an issue like that.
Yes, so these drivers passed him, but then one of them, Joshua Van Velde, made a mistake, and this gave the position back to Hoffman basically straight away. I guess he went wide here.
Oh, yes. Yeah, looked a little shallow on the entry.
But then Tyler Hoffman, said maybe I need to give the position back once again, and I think he made another mistake.
Oh no!
Oh, hard on that curb, and he almost went into the shorter circuit there on the right side, and yeah, once again lost those positions. So unfortunate for Tyler as we go back live.
Watching again the battle here for second between Brant Estes and Thornton Muir. That's Estes in that number 8, Muir in the orange and blue number 11. We are coming down to the last couple of laps, though. Now we have about 2.5 minutes remaining, Marco, but 1 and 26 second laps. You got to figure potentially 2 laps to wrap things up here. Of course, Fiello will be the first guy across the line. That's what will set up whether or not we go white flag or not. But this is a great scrap here for second and third. We saw a really good pass by Brant Estes, a nice textbook Road Atlanta pass down to the inside to the end of the back straightaway in turn 10A. But Thornton Muir not giving up at all here now. Again, Thornton Muir in that number 11 coming off that rough race at Sebring. Much better performance here at Road Atlanta. Marco, we're going to get another one of these runs. And again, the big run down the straightaway, one thing, but look at the lap traffic up front. Slower cars having to deal with. This final lap could be pretty interesting.
And he's absolutely nailed the exit of the right-hander there, and now he's going to, I think, at least attempt to pass now. SS might get a little bit of the draft from the cars in front, but I doubt it. They are a bit too far away, as I'm keeping also a close eye to our race leader. He will cross the start-finish line in a matter of seconds. So yes, this is the final lap of the race starting right now.
Last circuit, not close enough for Thornton Muir that last time down the straightaway. Again, as Marco said, he did get a really good run out of turn number 7, but not close enough to leverage that draft. They do have those slower cars up front that could play a factor. They're still over a second ahead of them up the road. And again, good run to the inside here at turn number 1. Brant Estes trying to hold on to second. Estes comes in with 2 podiums. He's second place in points behind Dion Fiello. Looking to get another podium result here. They'll work their way down through turns number 2, 3, and 4. Now into the S's. Car placement so crucial here, Marco. You got to hit those curbs, but you got to make sure you have the car placed to come through turn 5.
And in front of them, it's Van Velde, Aiken, and Reina, the drivers we were watching a bit earlier. Oh, this is side by side on the outside is Muir. Will he make the move? The answer is no. There's a spin in front of them now. He moves on the inside. No dice.
Oh, crazy action. One of the lap cars spinning in front, but trying to move to the outside for Thornton Muir. I thought he was potentially looking at an over-under. Is he close enough now, though? He needs that full draft. Those slower cars up front. Leader Fiello will be coming across the line here momentarily, but we'll try to catch this final battle first. They'll work their way up the straightaway once again to turn number 10. Thornton Muir, one more shot at it. Does he throw it down the bottom? Go deep on the brakes? He does not. They are going to probably run this order, but they do have the lap cars in front of them. Here comes the driver who dominated once again. Back to back jacks for Dion Fiello as he wins his 3rd straight Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries main event. The event racing here today at Road Atlanta, and again, Brant Estes able to hold off a determined Thornton Muir at the end. And another battle here right now, Marco, for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Oh yes, one more chance for Flannery to get past Wilmot. Good defending from Wilmot, putting the car in the middle of the road. Looks like he should be able to hold on to this fourth place, but look how close Flannery will move to the inside very bravely. Oh, does he have the space? Oh, almost, but he has to settle for fifth. Wilmot will finish fourth. Great stuff there as other drivers are coming home. Harper in 8th, Crane in 9th. We should also have Michael Day coming home very, very soon. And the last driver we are waiting for is Joseph Blankenship. He's one lap down, the last car that we are waiting for to cross the start finish. I have to say, once again, just like Daytona, just like Sebring, these 45 minutes went by in a hurry.
It did. It did.
So much
no
fun.
doubt about that.
And this is a very, again, I reiterate this stuff every time. This car is all the rage now in iRacing, in the leagues, and it's very fun to drive. But I have to say that this is the best league of GT4 I have ever commentated on so far because of the great quality of racing, the very small amount of mistakes. Man, I mean, we have a Dominator, but he is, you know, who knows if his throne will be taken by someone else as he's flashing his headlights. Maybe he knows we are showing him. There's around a 5 second delay between the broadcast and what the spectators say. So maybe if he's watching, he will appreciate. And I think in just a second we can give you the race results for this Road Atlanta race. And here we go.
A little bit of grandstanding, as you said there, for Dion Fiello. A pretty big win for him, though. He was challenged pretty aggressively by Thornton Muir. Half a second back, actually. One time got close enough to potentially make a pass. Did not quite pull the trigger, but Fiello pulling away from there to a 7.3 second victory. Brant Estes ended up on top of a tremendous battle with Thornton Muir. Those drivers going back and forth for that position. Estes with a good textbook Road Atlanta move at the end of the back straight to take second. Patrick Wilmot, a strong run holding off a determined Ryan Flannery over the last couple laps. Wilmot ends up in fourth. Flannery fifth. Fred Hazelton in sixth spot. Zach Holden, who had that issue early, got spun on the opening lap, fought his way back into seventh. Ryan Harper takes eighth. Philip Crane ninth, and Michael Day rounding out the top 10. Final driver on the lead lap. We did have 6 drivers, 1 lap back. Marshall Aiken in 11th. Joshua Van Veld in 8th. In 12th. Tyler Hoffman 13th. Jaden Reyna in 14th. And Michael Lane 15th. Joseph Blankenship rounding out the final drivers who were able to just go 1 lap back. Michael Green was out early, as was Trey Cook, Shamil Gummer, Wesley Slimp, and Sonny Chen. Those drivers out early for incidents. But otherwise, Marco, all in all, another great race. Like you said, there's tremendous racecraft in this particular series throughout the entire grid. And we saw, kind of as we did in other races, drivers kind of settling into 2-3 car fights.
Absolutely. I mean, fantastic stuff all over the field. There were basically battles for the entirety of the 45-minute race. A couple of mistakes here and there. I really, really enjoyed this race. And I think also, by the way, looking at our voice channel, that I think we have our race winner waiting for an interview. Here he is.
Dion Fiello, Rob Howden, congratulations on another tremendous run. They battled you again this time. We thought it was pretty interesting. Brant Estes and Thornton Muir were right on you. Muir was close enough to take a potential pass look down the inside of 10 one time, but he didn't do it. From there, you just pulled away. Was this another race where you were kind of just biding your time through the midway laps?
Not really. They had the pressure on me the whole way through. It was really hard to pull away. Finally, I think they made a mistake, and I nailed a couple of good, really fast laps, and was able to break the draft, and that really helped.
Again, turned in some pretty good laps at the end once you got through. We didn't get a chance to see it because we were keying on a couple other battles. You were kind of out there running by yourself. How was the lap traffic? I know you had to deal with a bunch of the cars that were a little further back today.
No problem, really. They were being fair.
Good.
Once I made the attempt obvious, they just lifted real quick, and I slotted through.
So we are back at it once again next Wednesday at Watkins Glen. I asked you this when you won Sebring, if you liked Road Atlanta. Let's ask you the same question now that you've won here in Brazelton. What do you think about that track up in Corning, New York? Are you a Watkins Glen fan?
It's all right. I like it less than Road Atlanta, but the curb strikes here at Road Atlanta were pretty scary, like opening lap, and I imagine that bus stop's going to be really tricky those first 2 laps.
Yeah, I think that's probably some pretty solid insight. Dion, congratulations. 3 straight victories. Let's see if you can make it 4 next week.
Thank you.
Marco, very impressive run for sure for Dion Fiello as he's able to get another win here. I know that we've got somebody else in the interview waiting area, so let's bring in Patrick Wilmot, and you can ask a couple of questions.
Absolutely. Here we go. Welcome to the broadcast booth, Patrick.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing amazing. It was a fantastic race, and even though you were not involved in the fight for the victory, you were certainly in a very, very close fight there for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, that was almost gave it away there on the last lap. I was just getting in my own head, but Ryan ran a great race, and I think I just got lucky. You know, I was a little bit faster coming through the last sector there, but Ryan had me on the first 2 sectors, and just barely pulled it off there.
And how was the track, especially considering tire degradation? It was a mildly hot racetrack there today. Did you suffer some significant tire wear towards the end of the race?
Yeah, you know, I think what I struggle with the most is trying to adapt to the car as it changes over time, and I think that's where Ryan and Fred were a little bit better than me, and that's how they caught me. I'm still new somewhat to this iRacing stuff. This is only like my 2nd week doing it, so it's really cool because it is so real. And but that's my biggest flaw right now, is just trying to adapt to the car as it changes over time.
You are making certainly a very, very good start to your iRacing career. Next time around, we will be at Watkins Glen. What are your thoughts about that particular racetrack?
Well, I feel pretty good. You know, you guys just called the race yesterday that we did the GT3 Cup there, and I had a pretty decent race there, so I feel good going into it. You know, you guys, Apex Racing TV, you guys have done a fantastic job, and this whole iRacing thing kind of scratches my itch of not being in a real race car right now. So thank you guys very much for doing this, and thanks to AMP and Discovery Parts and OMP Racing for making this happen. It's been great. Studio Road came on board as a partner for this week, so that was pretty cool to actually have a partnership out of iRacing.
I wanted to ask you if you have any shout-outs to make. You made a few of them already. Do you have any more before we let you go?
That's all I got. Thank you guys so much. You guys have done such a fantastic job. It's so professional, and I really appreciate being a part of this.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Patrick, and hopefully we'll catch you next week.
Thank you, Marco.
And that was our 4th place finisher, Patrick Wilmot. And I have to say, massive congratulations to the organizers as well, because today we have been, I have no issues going a bit over time. It's not a problem for me, but maybe that's why the pace lap was abolished for this round, because we are...
That's definitely a possibility. And you know what I picked up from there, Patrick Wilmot just getting into the iRacing platform about a week and a half, couple of weeks ago. Man, pretty impressive to see the way he's been able to pick that up. And of course, does a lot of racing outdoors as well. And that's that transition back and forth between the 2 disciplines. I think a lot of people becoming that may have been skeptical early, having a lot more respect for what they're seeing. Of course, here coming in and racing these tremendous events. Like you said it, Marco, the drivers in this particular series, the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries, just a lot of great racecraft. We saw them battling 2, 3, 4 driver packs. Of all the races I've had a chance to call over the last month and a half since we've been on shutdown here for the COVID-19, this series is really, really impressing me because these drivers are so respectful, but the racecraft is so good.
Absolutely. It has been fantastic, and I have to say that again, the Watkins Glen is absolutely fantastic as a racetrack. I think we're going to have a super exciting show in 1 week's time. Absolutely. So yeah, I think we are basically done here. As per usual, I will leave you, Rob, with the closing remarks from Road Atlanta.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here for what was the third round of the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries, brought to you by Discovery Parts and OMP. A tremendous battle up front once again. Dion Fiallo, who had won 2 races in a row coming in to this third round, was in the middle of a huge scrap with Brant Estes and Thornton Muir. Thornton Muir got close enough to potentially make a pass, but didn't quite pull the trigger, and I think he'll potentially think a little bit different, have a different strategy when we get to Watkins Glen next Wednesday. We hope you guys enjoyed that event. 2 more races still on the schedule, as I said. Next Wednesday, Watkins Glen. They'll wrap up the season the following Wednesday at Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. Of course, the upstate New York track, though, Watkins Glen International, the iconic facility, will be home for round number 4. It's been great to be part of the program, folks. Thank you for watching here on Apex Racing TV. On behalf of Marco Barbanera, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.